Well, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just moments ago saying, well, Israel is not completely stopping, but they're beginning to wrap up the search for those tunnels. They've so far found, they say, 31 of those terrorist tunnels built by Hamas. They're unbelievable. Motorcycles, IDF uniforms, they say, as well as sedatives to kidnap and kill innocent Israelis. What does this mean for the future of the Middle East and for Hamas and Israel and this conflict? Lisa Daftari is a Middle East journalist and a Fox News contributor, joins us right now. Lisa, the Prime Minister has spoken. What is the most important thing that you heard him say?
Well, what he said is that Israel will continue to do whatever it takes to protect its citizens, something that we're assuming, but there were rumors that were circulating before he went up to the podium that Israel was going to back down. And we could speculate that that wasn't true because this missing Israeli soldier is still being held by Hamas. Another very important part of what he said is that we feel for the people of Gaza. We have nothing against them. This actually shows the humanitarian aspect of all of this. This is a very targeted attack on these Hamas sites. I mean, they're using their children as human shields. The death tolls are disparate on both sides, and that's what's always used to tell the narrative. But what's going on here, we have the leader of Israel coming out and saying we have nothing against the people of Gaza. I want to hear a Hamas leader come out and say we have nothing against the people of Israel when they're raining missiles into civilian areas.
Part of the Hamas pledge, of course, is for the destruction of Israel, and they have Iran backing them. The Ayatollah Khamenei this past week called on the Muslim world to arm itself against Israel and destroy Israel. And Israel has been harshly criticized because of the proportionality. What about that? We see more demonstrations in Paris today, for example.
Absolutely. And a lot of what we're seeing is a lot of anti-Semitism and not really anti-Zionism or anti-Israel movements. Something else that we're seeing, it's not just on the streets of Europe and the U.S. and Canada, but we're seeing these celebrities and local artists coming out and tweeting. Where were these people when the children of Syria were being brutally murdered on the streets? Where were they when the Muslim Brotherhood was butchering the people of Egypt? So we're seeing a lot of what could probably be said as anti-Semitism versus something that's more anti-Israel.
And what does this mean as we go forward? Some people this afternoon thought that the Prime Minister would call for a complete halt of the operations. At the same time, he did say that they open to, quote, new possibilities. And I mentioned this earlier. Are we seeing a realignment in the Middle East between the extremists on one side, Hamas, Qatar, Iran, and on the other side, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, for example? And what does that mean as we go forward, and what does it mean for us?
Here's the message to John Kerry and President Obama. Saudi Arabia and Egypt have realized what the threat of these extremist groups are, and we still haven't. We cannot negotiate with a terrorist group. Hamas is a terror organization. We've put them on the U.S. terror list. Look, if Hamas could, they would build their tunnels all the way to New York and Washington, D.C. This is not just a conflict between the Israelis and Hamas. This is the extremists against the free world. They've put it in their charter, as you said. They're not looking for a ceasefire. They're not looking for some diplomatic resolution. They're not looking to abide by the ceasefire. They have single-handedly, Hamas has single-handedly broken the ceasefire every single time. So this puts Israel in a position of protecting its civilians and going forward to do whatever it takes to protect the state of Israel.
All right, Lisa Daftari, and of course, Harder Golden, who is a young soldier still missing. He was just engaged. The intense object of